now in the Talk Time segment of the show. President Muhammadu Buhari's anti-corruption drive is in top gear, with efforts to block governmental leakages and prosecute offenders. And now the ruling party, the APC, has come out with mind-boggling figures of monies allegedly embezzled by officials of the former President Goodluck Jonathan. They run in trillions of naira and include 3.8 trillion naira allegedly withheld by NNPC out of 8.1 trillion naira earned from crude oil sale in 3 years. $6 billion or 1.2 trillion naira allegedly looted by some ministers of the last administration as well. But there is also the accusation that 160 million barrels of crude oil was lost between 2009 and 2012. And then the worth of that put at $13.9 billion or 2.7 trillion naira. And there is $13 billion or 2.6 trillion naira in Nigeria liquefied natural gas dividends, which the APC says is mostly unaccounted for. There are much more, really, which we will talk about this morning. Of course, we would also try and find out why the focus is on the Goodluck Jonathan government alone. That is why some, especially PDP supporters, are saying that it's selective probing. Well, I have with me in the studio a public affairs analyst, Mr. Goodluck Oba, to discuss this with me. Thank you for your time in the studio.
Thank you very much for the opportunity once again.
All right. Firstly, what do you think about the fight against corruption that President Muhammadu Buhari has declared?
It's imperative at this juncture, very imperative. We cannot afford to go the way we were going up until the Nigerian electors or the Nigerian electorate resolved to go for a sober, circumspect, God-fearing person like Buhari. We can't afford to go the line, any longer. What happened under the past administration was bordered on madness, literally madness. You would want sometimes, you would sit down sometimes and think it couldn't have been anything but a mental health issue for people to practically steal that humongous amount of money. If some of them were to live 10 times over, 10 times over living 100 years, they probably would not, exhaust what they've stolen. So we couldn't afford to go in that direction anymore. So this is very necessary. Indeed, not only in our public sphere, it is imperative too that we have a total culture change in Nigeria. Things have gone bonkers. Values have depreciated. The things we never used to do are just commonplace now. So this circumspection is not only necessary for people in public life, but also very imperative for the generality of our cultural disposition as it is now.
All right. Speaking about corruption, really, like you've said, the amount of money is mind-boggling, and the APC has said that much. But will it do well for the government at this time to want to go into the probing of this former administration?
I am one who believes that those who have abused public trust should be subjected to the machinery of the rule of law. I am one who viscerally loathes the kind of public dramatization of anti-corruption pantomime that I'm seeing now. I want to be very careful. I started by saying that it is somewhat imperative at this juncture that public officers be subjected to a stricter form of accountability. I also said, indeed, on a general note, it is imperative at this juncture too that we we at least embrace a degree of sobriety and circumspection in the general direction of our culture and value this thing. But having said that, I am one who is reluctant, very reluctant, to subscribe to the utter pantomime dramatization. What do I mean by pantomime dramatization? The seemingly babasalaic way via which, either some public officers, the ICPCs of this world, the EFCCs of this world, or indeed the APC, they are going about dramatizing, issues of corruption. Look,
you think it's just drama?
If anybody, through meticulous investigation, has been found to have dipped his hands into the public till, that person should be taken through the process of our criminal justice system.
All right, first of all, you're saying that it's just some form of pantomime or drama, really, for the ruling party. You think it's just lip service?
I am saying that instead of the drama we're having now in the public space, especially when one organization, look, where were organizations like EFCC and ICPC, where were they when the madness was going on? They kept quiet. The same organizations, the same leaderships, and yet as we speak, the drama, the drama rating has just been heightened. That in itself could lead, we've seen it before, that in itself could lead to confusion, and it could help those who have stolen us dry to get away with murder, because you know what? When you start trying people on the pages of newspaper and in the media, you may practically, undo what you want to achieve by letting them earn the sympathy of some people, either because of some primordial reasons, like they are from their tribe, whatever. But if you subject people through the process of law, you have done your investigations, you've garnered enough evidence, you've given the evidence to competent prosecutors, they have looked the evidence over within the context of, of the proof they need, the burden of proof they need to. You must remember that we are talking about criminal cases. And in criminal cases, the burden of proof is very high. Within the context of the proof they need to establish in a competent court of jurisdiction, they've done their bit and they've taken it to the courts. Now, going through the rigmarole of the court, you must remember too.
But President Buhari says these people will definitely have their day in court.
You know what? About time they did. But you see, if it was only President Buhari alone who was talking, it would have been better. This Sunday, on the front page of one of the major national newspapers, ICPC 629 houses, which court of law pronounced that seizure? An experience, you want me to go as far back as the First Republic, the military administration administrations that succeeded the First Republic, the Second Republic, the military administrations that succeeded them, and I'll tell you a number of property, quote unquote, have been seized before, and they were surreptitiously given back because the process of law was not followed.
And that's why the EFCC keeps losing cases.
What you say?
That's why the EFCC keeps losing cases.
Because they over-dramatize. The EFCC, we must remember, is an investigative authority. The EFCC is neither a court of law nor the prison service. The EFCC's job is to meticulously garner evidence and package the evidence and give to state prosecutors, either those who are resident within the organization or the Attorney General's office, where state prosecutors will, undertake the job of prosecuting the suspects and the accused. Am I making a point, ma'am?
Yes, you are.
When an organization that is supposed to do the primary, the foundational work has not finished doing its work, or because it has glimpses of one or two this thing, is suddenly now making pronouncements like it is a bona fide court of law, something is wrong. We don't want the AFCC shout us or us now. We want to see the potency, the efficacy of the evidence they've garnered, getting these horde of thieves convicted.
All right, now, when we're talking about corruption, really, it's not just about these public office holders that we've had rooted Nigeria blind, really. For the proper fight to be effected, President Muhammadu Buhari has to have so many people on board. And of course, with the level of corruption we are hearing is in the country, are you confident that it will be able to get judges? Because, of course, you heard the report that is looking for good judges to help try these cases. And of course, we know some of the things we hear about these judges as well.
There are a number of facts that I know now that are incontrovertible. President Muhammadu Buhari has the preponderant majority of Nigerians rooting for him because of the unprecedented measures that he's taking, or because of the unprecedented courage that is bringing into administering the country. We've always seen historically one leader getting into party arrangement with his predecessor or predecessors, and making, his predecessor or predecessors seemingly untouchable. We have seen a man who, maybe out of conviction, who even maybe out of vendetta, I don't care, in so much as the cause of Nigeria is served. Maybe out of conviction, I want to believe he's out of conviction, or maybe out of the vendetta. We have seen a man who is now donning another jersey, or who is practically playing another ball game. Obasanjo gave us the impression initially when he came into office too, but we know now how it ended, and we don't want to be fooled anymore. So, one incontrovertible fact is that he has the preponderant majority of Nigerians supporting his predisposition to want to seek justice for this country by getting the looters to be, to refund our monies and use them as deterrents for probable future looters. That is number one. Number two is that, apart from the goodwill of the people, if he is really genuine, he has both the human element, as we speak. He has both the human element in his cabinet and people that he could work with. Let me give you a typical example. His vice president is noted to be one of the most respected legal teachers in this country. His vice president is known to be not only a legal teacher, he has a rich body of Supreme Court pronouncements, to help him articulate any kind of reform he may want to achieve within the criminal justice system, with a view to getting the looters who have always maneuvered around the porosity of the criminal justice infrastructure to go scot-free. That is number one. He himself has constituted a committee of eminent jurists and citizens of this country with a view, and the anti-corruption committee under the leadership of Professor Ise Sage. with a view to
Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption. All right, so we'll talk more about the apologies, Mr. Abba. We need to speak to the spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party in Lagos, who joins us at this time on phone, Mr. Taufik Gani. Thank you for your time. Good morning to you, Mr. Gani. Now, what is your immediate reaction to the anti-corruption drive of President Buhari?
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Yes, it is welcome. There is no sane or patriotic Nigerian that would not want such to happen, especially in the light of some revelations which will only make this country better if they become actual, because it is not just to begin to show numbers, figures, which we cannot prove. But I think generally, as a person, I welcome it. But I am not going to be too excited, because it is not a matter of whether it is a partisan thing. It is a matter of logic, that if you want to really probe, or you want to get some monies back, you don't do it the manner it is being done. The manner it is being done, it is more of politics. It's more of politics because we know that even President Buhari knows very well a lot of people surrounding him, they also have big skeletons in their cupboard. And we don't know why it does appear that they have immunity even when they are out of government already. And then let me also say that I am not also excited because this president may have that pedigree, may have that it that he has brought into that relevance that is an anti-corruption crusader. But can we also say that President Buhari, having contested 4 times, contested with the retirement money he got as a military person? These are questions that people must ask. So it's not like he's a saint. He is not a saint. He is just perhaps just one of those who are lucky to do some things and people will not see things the way they should see it. But for some of us, the few of us who see it the way we should see it, we challenge President Buhari himself to still come up again and say that he didn't have up to 10 million when he contested elections. That is that. 2 is that in this drive, it has to be holistic. Whether we like it or not, the money from the federal government to the state, to the local government areas must also be investigated. How they have been expended. I am not one of those PDP members who will say that the PDP members are being witch hunted. No, because if they were found wanting, they should be brought to the book. But what I'm saying is that it should not be made to look like it is just a PDP thing. For instance, there are a lot of PDP who used to be PDP members, leaders, governors, senators, who have now crossed carpet, who have now defected to APC, and they are now the closest to President Buhari, and they seem to not have committed anything. The former vice president is one. Let me even mention that as we speak, with due regards to the professor, the vice president of Nigeria as we speak, can give President Buhari a lot of information on what happened in Lagos State, even when he was Attorney General, talking about the diversion of Lagos money, obvious diversion. So what we are saying is that it is welcomed, but if it does appear, it becomes manifesting that it is just an attack against the people who protested against you, then of course it will have no
all right.
Inch of any integrity.
Okay, so Mr. Gani, I just want to ask you, the People's Democratic Party, since the Fourth Republic started, had been the one ruling Nigeria, and it's ruled for 16 years now. When you're talking about maybe selective witch hunting like you are trying to infer, the power sector was close to zero under the rule of the People's Democratic Party. Transportation, the rail system, every system of the country was practically not functioning well. And so now if a new government of a totally different party comes into power, isn't it just a normal thing for such government to probe the past administration, especially the immediate one, to know how these things went down?
But you are just saying what I said. Let me repeat. We're not against this investigation. But what we are saying is that how do you do an investigation that will be seen as sincere? Now you mentioned the issue of power. Let me tell you whether you like it or not. Even the improvement that we have in power now is not a product of what President Buhari has done. Himself has even admitted he's not done anything. He doesn't even have a minister for that ministry that can handle that. Now, is what we are enjoying now is particularly what President Goodluck Jonathan, the PDP president, laid down. It is just coincidental that we lost the election and the APC is enjoying the glory. But now let's talk about, supposing we even agree for the sake of this discussion, about there were a lot of fraud during in the power sector. It was probably before President Goodluck Jonathan. Why is it that you cannot go and probe that place and let us know that you want to probe that place just because this person is obnobbing with you? This person supported you in the public, even tore the membership card of PDP. So I have only used that as a synonym to express what I'm trying to say. There are a lot of people who even were part of the PDP, so-called PDP government that did not perform, and only God can forgive them for that. But we are now in APC and are flexing as if they were never part of the PDP. Also, you're talking of the issue of I thought you also mentioned something. I think it was on the the 16 years. Of course, I agree. If you say that in the last 16 years, PDP was in government, of course you won't go and probe ABGA or ANPP. You will probe PDP now, but you must also probe anybody who was in government at all levels. Because if yes, PDP did out the money from the federal government to the state government, you must also know why the state government at that point in time did not spend the money for the people. Because we are not talking of people who are federal government Nigerians. We are talking of people who are Nigerians generally, either state, federal, or local government.
All right, President Muhammadu Buhari anyway hasn't started listing the names of the people that he will charge to court for corruption cases, really. So you're saying that you're afraid it could be just PDP members that will be fingered in this corruption fight by the president?
My sister, I am saying that, you see, all this is just noise making. I'm sorry to use that word. Already we know, some of us know where that is surrounded by propagandists, very good professional propagandists. And this party is a party of propaganda in any case. So you see, is noise making. Start this investigation. Start this arrest. Let me tell you, and I challenge anybody who fully understands the issue of a new government coming in to investigate. Supposing it is true that the people who are even close to General Buhari know that he will honestly investigate anybody and arrest anybody. I'm saying that some of these people should have fled. Whether they are in APC, whether they are waiting to be minister or they are waiting to, they should have fled because they would have read the body language that this man will arrest even them. But because they know that it is still going to be sensational, how can somebody who became stupendously wealthy only after becoming a governor of a state still be parading himself as qualified to be, morally qualified to be minister? And I mean, they are traveling with the same president who is to arrest them even in the aircraft. So, see, it is just noise making and it's just to deceive Nigerians. But some of us will come out at the appropriate time to let Nigerians know that See this man how you should see him. Don't see him as in 1983. It was not him. It was General Today Diagbon of President Memory. It was him that actually made that government popular. And what was this indiscipline thing that he fought? It was people crossing the road and then you beat them. It was not particularly about corruption, as in stealing money. We still had the civil service system very, very, very rotten during that period, but maybe they could have succeeded in correcting that, but because of the coup. So I am not part of those who think that General Buhari of the uniform is the same General Buhari in Agbada now. Contested the presidency, 4 times contested presidential election. You think that person is not wealthy? He became wealthy because he wore uniform. It was because he was minister in the way for petroleum. He was a PTF coordinator, and he was former head of state.
All right, Mr. Taufik Gani, lastly, briefly though, just for a few seconds, don't you think in any fight really for a change to be effected, it's best to start from the top? And of course, you know, all the other people you're talking about, ruled states, were in charge of states, should be probed as well, but should then to the states?
I don't, you see, you are trying to put me in a difficult corner because it's like pretending not to understand what I'm saying. See, we have today people who were ministers under PDP. Of course, maybe because of immunity. They are now governors. Abi, you still have some who were ministers. You are talking now, you should start from the top. Their ministry should also be proved. Let us have it on record. It will be kept after they finish as governors. We have about, I can count about 4 minimum now. El-Rufai, Autumn. I knew about 4 during that time when they left. So you have them. You have some who did not contest governorship, who are in the Senate. People who sat under PDP. So we are not saying that they should not. It's PDP they will probe which party.
All right, thank you.
It's PDP.
Mr. Taufik Gani. Thank you very much for your contribution on the program. Now, okay, you heard what he said, really, and that's somehow what some people are saying on the streets of Nigeria. That
no, we have to be very methodical about what he said. I find what he said about Buhari being corrupt because he contested 4 times. I find it as arrant nonsense. With due respect, Taufik is like a younger brother and a friend, but that one is totally obscurantist. It's totally irrelevant because we knew the circumstance through which he contested the 4 elections he contested. And the reason, indeed, one of the reasons why he was humiliated electorally the 3 times before was because the resources at his disposal were minimal. The people he was working with were just using him as a facade to perpetrate whatever they were doing, and because he had not much resources, he couldn't quite.
And he said he wasn't going to contest again.
And he said he wasn't going to contest again. And when they went to him, one of the reasons
they begged him.
One of his arguments was that, you know what, I've always had to depend on you people, on people like you when they come. This time around, what was going to be different? He was assured that the strategy was going to be different and whatever. But that's history now. So Gani should not use that as an indictment of corruption because he contested 4 times or 3 times previously, not winning, and that ordinarily he must have stolen money and he was using that money. It's cheap.
A former general.
No, to be honest with you, it's cheap. The man became a revolving door of a sort for those who felt they needed to fight the Akulian PDP infrastructure at the national level because they felt, you know what, his integrity, his moral capital would give them the leverage that the resources they did not have relative to the PDP would give them. And that ultimately was the vindication they got because it was not so much the money that the APC spent against the PDP that did the magic. It was the moral capital of the APC candidate leveraging on the anger of Nigerians against the institutionalization of corruption and the fact that this time around, unlike in the previous elections that he contested, he had a body of people who was good hands at political strategizing and electioneering maneuvering.
Indeed, and he put to mind what one of the presidential aides then under for President Goodluck Jonathan, the former president, said that if President Muhammadu Buhari won the election and ruled Nigeria as a democratic president, that Nigerians should call him a bastard, really. Anyway, we
won't call him. We are very cultured, but he will. If he watches TV regularly and he reads newspaper,
called him more than that.
He will know what it has amounted to. But having said that, we cannot discountenance the fact that if Buhari wants his legacy to be as big as his anti-corruption profile now, he must be seen. He must be seen to be waging this war across the political divides.
We'll talk more about that as well.
In all the parties, you have characters whose immediate past are very, very, very disturbing.
Okay, we have the spokesman of the All Progressives Congress as well, joining us, the APC Lagos chapter, Mr. Joe Igbokwe. Thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast. Now, there is, first of all, the statement by the party about the amount of money stolen, really, or somehow diverted under the watch of past administrations is so mind-boggling.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, Mr. Igbokwe, thank you very much. I was talking about the alleged 11.11 trillion naira. The APC says the former administration somehow diverted or unaccounted for in the accounts of Nigeria. That is so mind-boggling, really. And the APC's resolved to press on to investigate this and bring these people to justice. How soon will Nigeria get the results?
Well, they will get the results as soon as possible. And let me tell you, like my party said at the national level, governance cannot continue unless we recover those. You have me?
Yes, yes.
I said there can't be governance unless we recover those monies, those funds. They are huge. It's unprecedented in the history of this country. It's not because it was a bazaar. People were just taking cars, government property, and as if somebody that will have Buhari, because they never believe they are going to they will elect. And now, across the election, we have to cover those things before governance will continue. It's unbelievable.
Mr. Igbokwe, apologies. We'll have to end that call and call you back to gain a better clarity. Really, the network was quite bad. We'll hope the audio will be better when we call you back to talk to us about this alleged stolen funds under the former administration led by the PDP and, of course, former President Goodluck Jonathan. Really, yes, you were talking about President Buhari fighting corruption across board so that people will know that.
You see, if he wants his legacy to be as resounding, as as big as his profile is now, he must be seen to be waging this imperative war against corruption across the political divide. And why am I saying that? Where I am now, if you mention Olusegun Obasanjo, is almost a comical character to me. You know why he seems a comical character to me? On the one hand, he will talk the talk, but tell him to walk the talk. You will see a limping man, hopping around in a very distorted manner. And why are we saying that? Look, the truth is that majority, indeed, the totality of the characters that Nuhu Ribadu went after when he was the top, the top cop at EFCC were corrupt. But what reduced the magnitude of that historic accomplishment, not only for Nigeria, but even for Nobody himself, and indeed the plus for the Obasanjo government then, what reduced it was that there were people who were corrupter, quote unquote, if there's a word like that. There were people who were far more corrupt, who were literally hobnobbing with him, and it did seem they were walking away with murder.
Subjective fight against corruption. All right, apologies. We have regained connection with Mr. Joe Igbokwe, the Publicity Secretary of the APC in Lagos State. Thank you for joining us again. Now, we spoke to the spokesperson of the PDP in Lagos, Mr. Taufik Gani, earlier before you, and he was saying that he's worried that the fight against corruption declared by the APC and President Buhari is kind of subjective, really, especially that the president is not looking at those in the party that he sees as corrupt. At least he knows, because some of these people defected from the PDP to the APC.
We will not accept that blackmail. This is how it goes. And nobody is going to teach us how to run this government. What we see is blackmail, and we never succumb to it. We know what we have found out, and we're going to deal with it head on. Let them not decide what to do. It's not like this committee that's going to get the purpose of no, this is our government. And we decide where to start and when to start. Some of 1,000 miles of start to continue to start with the test. And that's what we are doing. I don't want PDP to start. You can't give us, you can't. Do you get what I'm saying?
All right, thank you, Mr. Igbokwe. I would love to end the interview that the line was quite bad. I don't think we'll call back because the line was bad. It could be bad again. So we just say thank you for the call.
I think it's about time somebody counseled my very good friend and brother, Igbokwe, that they must tone down the arrogance a bit. This is our government. We're not this is a democracy. And in the democracy, even the opposition has the institutionalized right. In a democracy, even the opposition has the institutionalized right to gainsay what you say and give a different perspective to what you may be doing. So we should not let arrogance come into it. To the extent, earlier on when Gani called, I said some of the things he said was, were arrant nonsense, especially as he was trying to tarnish or stigmatize the image of President Muhammadu Buhari, using his previous electoral attempts to become president, as the evidence for corruption. I wouldn't know how that rationalization could even sit in his head when he was saying it. But having said that, listening to Igbokwe now, APC cannot afford to be arrogant, too arrogant. If the investigation of any corruption...
Let's speak about Gaba's call. Apologies. We are getting to the phone call period where people start calling and disturb you. All right, Mr. Gaba, you're joining us from Benue. Gaba from Benue.
Yes, my sister Aziza, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yes, and morning to our able, always indefatigable analyst, Mr. Alba. I've learned so much from him.
Thank you very much.
Yes. I want us to look at it that PDP had their time, and they chose to do what they wanted with it. They should allow other people. The country doesn't belong to them alone. In as much as you were trying to advise Igbokwe, the country doesn't belong to one set of people. The country belongs to all of us. They had their time. They chose to do what they wanted with it. They should allow other people who have their time to choose how they want it to be. What they want to do with it. Now, let me emphasize again that the volume of money allocated to the National Assembly is a fraud. Why is it a fraud?
it is such that I want you to look at the scenario that if you take 1 million naira into a marketplace, you will see the kind of confusion that will burst out. And because of that volume of money that goes to the National Assembly, many of them do not have time for this nation. They are only interested in how much they can grab out of that money. So we should have, if this government has given us enough, time to look at some of these things that are wrong in our country, we are going to take advantage of it and try to make the best of it. I want to, God will continue to strengthen Buhari and continue to bless this country, big country, Nigeria. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Ogaba, for your call and contribution from Benue State. Really saying that the PDP had 16 years to rule.
Oh, yes.
Didn't spend the time the way it's
oh,
like.
yes, but they are still useful to us. You know why they are useful to us? A robust democracy is a democracy that has a robust opposition. My sister, I tell people that I'm first of all a Democrat intellectually and at heart before I'm a Nigerian. And I'm above all a Nigerian before I am somebody whose ideological predisposition makes him to support APC a little bit. I'm not one of those analysts you call. I'm not one of those analysts you call on your program who will be denying I don't support anybody. The truth is that as a Nigerian, you will always support somebody. You know, don't come here and lie to people. Bola Oba, ideologically, is more pro-APC. I don't carry APC. I don't carry an APC membership card. But ideologically, I find most of their positions consistent with the direction I pray that this country goes to.
Especially because the PDP ruled for 16 years.
Especially because they ruled for 16 years.
Right, we have Mohammed calling us from Niger State. Mohammed, good morning. Go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning, ma.
Good morning. Go ahead.
My contribution was just based on a bouquet that says that it has been years of foundation of PDP based on what Mr. Buhari has put to the public. If any administration can lay foundation for several years and cannot bring it to the public, it means that they have no foundation to release to the public. So,
Mohammed,
we in Niger State here, we assume that really they have done nothing. It is the Buhari that is doing something for us in Nigeria now.
All right. Thank you, Mohammed, for your call and contribution. At least we got the message at the end of that call saying that basically, again, foundation, PDP ruled for 16
they squandered
years.
it.
And then
those who are
saying that was President Goodluck Jonathan that made the electricity supply good in Nigeria for 16 years.
No.
So why that period, just few days to handing over?
No, let's be very honest with ourselves. For 16 years, they had the opportunity to turn this country around positively. Largely, 95%, they squandered it. But if we're talking about the present positive experience that people are, enjoying now about power, that is electricity, let's be very honest with ourselves, Buhari has done nothing about it.
Isn't it the fear of Buhari?
Look, for the concessionaires, for the privatized it, they gave it to some of their own, cohorts and supporters. Now that the new sheriff is in town, and they know that this new sheriff is the sheriff that will subject them to accountability, they know that the ultimate constituency that will make them get some good relief will be to serve the people well. So we have seen enough job, but it is not Buhari's structural achievement.
It was just a change of attitude.
It is just a change. When a new sheriff comes to town and all wayward characters before know that this one will not tolerate the madness they used to perpetrate.
So somehow it's still the influence of the new president.
It does.
All right, we have Hamza calling us from Zaria.
Why are you people this popular in the north?
Good morning, Hamza.
Yeah, good morning, Aziza. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Go ahead.
And my regards to the analyst there.
Thank you very much, sir.
My contribution goes this way. Nigerians have been yearning for anti-corruption, probing and probing. But my concern here at this level is majority of these guys that make this noise are part of the problem. If you can loot this country and today go back to APC, you become an angel. You become a saint. So probing should not be sectionalized or be based on partisan. The president should do it holistically. I know of, like from my state, the governor from my state was part of the problem. He was a minister, he was a director in BP and other things. So today he claims to be a saint. So if we want to probe, we should do it holistically. We shouldn't be looking at it from one angle. So if I can embezzle this country money and become a member of APC, then I become a saint. No. I expect the president do it holistically, not just the government of President Goodluck Jonathan. Look at the last 16 years of PDP rule. Look at those that had did wrong. Punish them, send them to jail. This is my contribution for this morning. Thank you, Aziza.
All right, thank you, Hamza, for your contribution. Especially, let's look at
no,
this
Hamza,
way. What if all members of the PDP defect to the APC? Does it mean that there will be no probe again?
Let me give you a typical example that will corroborate what Hamza just said. The incumbent governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, was once subjected to a form of investigation or probe by the National Assembly. You must remember, in a rule of law respecting jurisdiction, Rufai shouldn't have contested the election he contested. Today, he is a poster boy for the turnarounders in APC. But let's be very honest with ourselves. If we really love this country and we don't want to fool us, we do ink ourselves and fool ourselves, some people should go and exhume the recommendations of the National Assembly, especially the Senate, when they specifically recommended that the guy should not be allowed to hold public office anymore, and the amount of condemnation that happened under him as Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. Indeed, El-Rufai was giving land, giving CFO to his children, underage children, when he was Minister of this thing. Look, we must realize that Nigeria is bigger than our partisan predispositions. And if we want this country to be right and to be prosperous, President Buhari must do what Obasanjo failed to do. Deliver himself, above all, from the stranglehold of those who are closest to him. Because those are the people who will not let him go in the direction that the average Nigerian knows he should go. The truth is that if he wants his legacy to be as big as his profile, some of those who are APC prominent members today, not only the Sarakis of this world, whose faction in the APC seem to be against that of the president. Oh, look, we've seen this thing before.
Since there are many factions within the party.
At least we know that the only prominent APC member whose family is under any form of clear light now, in terms of criminal investigation in respect of corruption, is Saraki. And we know that due to his vaulting ambition, he defied the party and defied the presidency, and indeed spoke belittling of the vice president. So it's easy to pick that one in the APC. So look, Buhari should please not send us into another round of disillusionment that past leaders. We hoped against hope that Obasanjo was going to do it, because in his inaugural speech, we thought he was going for the jugular of corruption. We know what became from 20,000 naira in the bank account, becoming one of the richest men on the face of the continent of Africa. We know Umar Yar'Adua was sickly, but we thought it was death denied us. Is that we were hoping against hope that Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, coming from the minority district and the most traduced and the most abused region of Nigeria, was going to at least do something. Structural reform.
Even the Ogoniland report, he didn't even look into it. Anyway, we have Abdullahi calling us from Kaduna.
When he pardoned,
good morning,
when he gave
Abdullahi.
Alamesia a state pardon, he forgot to pardon Pensaroua.
That he's his political mentor. All right, we have Abdullahi calling us from Kaduna. Good morning to you, Abdullahi.
Good morning, my sister. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Go ahead with your comment.
Good morning to my daughter there. We really appreciate what you are doing.
Okay.
And we appreciate your contribution also. What I want to say is that I want to make a point regarding this man that is in Lagos, that is an APC spokesman. Most of us, you see today, we are PDP members, and we have participated a lot in ensuring PDP winning elections in all cadre of government in Nigeria. As I'm speaking to you, I'm a former councillor in Goodluck local government. If you are thinking about corruption, you should also understand that if you said Buhari contested 4 times and lost his election, you look at what is the reason behind him losing this election. We have people in this country that don't want to see the development of this country. They don't want to see the progress of this country because of what they have been able to perpetrate when they are in government. And we need to stop all this kind of things because we know today the insecurity problem we are facing, the kidnapping, the armed robbery, all other vices that we are facing today is country because of corruption. If there is no corruption, I don't think even this issue of Boko Haram would have been existed. So, if you are saying that he contested 3 times, 4 times, where we are really able to get the money for him to contest the election, have you forgotten during the APC Congress in Lagos when he presented himself as a candidate? He's not the only person that contested for that position. But what did he tell the delegates? He said that I have no money to give you, and even if I have this money, I'm not going to give you. I only have my best to give this country, and that is what is happening today. So anybody, I'm a PDP member, but anybody that is against anti-corruption fight in this country, God will punish that person, and God will continue to demolish his life. Because we are...
Thank you,
Abdullahi. I understand how you feel.
Abdullahi's contribution is also Abdullahi's contribution is also a land-based and an intellectual slap on the rationalization of Gani. Gani is like a younger brother to me and a friend. When next I see him, I'll tell him, don't chase that rabbit of wanting to stigmatize Buhari because he contested 3 times previously before his ultimate destiny. We've always known that one of the reasons why Buhari lost those elections were not only because the PDP was, was rigging the machinery of the electoral system, but indeed, because Buhari was out of pocket, he didn't have the resources to match. And the one he won eventually...
He couldn't even go around the country.
The one he won eventually, it was, thank God for some people who just were obstinate that irrespective of the allurement they were subjected to, that they blatantly, because of the sake of Nigeria, just refused to. And that is why
I tell people... of Professor Tahiru Jega, who will never be forgotten in Nigeria.
Fantastic. And that's even before the Jega...
Because we remember the days of
even
Professor...
before the Empire...
Morris.
No, don't go there. Even before the Empire, I tell people, you can call Bola Ahmed Tinubu whatever you want to call him. But you know what? There is a consistency in his ideological and principle direction that can make somebody like me feel at liberty, emotionally and otherwise, to want to believe that he's worthy of being called a leader. You know why? Because whatever stigma you may throw at him is one who has not been hopping parties like this thing. The nomenclature of his parties may be changing, but the ideological consistency is there. And because he knew at a point that the change he had fomented in a particular region of Nigeria could not be achieved by himself alone at the national level, he also selected people who are people of principle, people of character, people of courage, and people of conviction to work with. you know what? I'm not saying if there's a need for a probe and there's something against him when he ruled this state that it shouldn't be looked into, but even at that, for me, where I'm seated, the guy is worthy of some celebration.
All right, we have Hassan calling us from Kaduna State. Good morning to you, Hassan.
Good morning, madam. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Go
ahead. Yes, I just want to contribute to what you are discussing this morning. Yes, the issue of corruption. Some people said Buhari should extend his anti-corruption to previous governors, head of states, apart from Jonathan. I don't think it's a good idea because Buhari received his handover note from Jonathan. So he should just stay there and prove the immediate government. Secondly, some people said he should extend also his anti-corruption to APC. I think Buhari will be doing that until he finishes with those people he had this handover note from him, those ministers, the past immediately ministers. I think after that, he will go after other ministers too. So they should give him time. That's my contribution.
From Kaduna State. But aren't you worried really that, because naturally it's easy to probe your enemy. It's easy to probe someone that isn't close to you.
That is why
people, especially members from the PDP, keep defecting to the APC.
No, that is why.
Is it going to be easy for the party to now probe them eventually?
Said, although I have a little bit of presentational difference with the last caller. Like the last caller said, it is only reasonable to start with the file in front of you. The file in front of President Muhammadu Buhari now is the handover note, however belatedly given by the immediate past government. But you know one thing about corruption? It's very funny. I'll give you a practical example here. One thing about the investigation of crime is that the ostensible evidence you think you are chasing may lead you to some latent bodies of evidence. What do I mean? Under President Olusegun Obasanjo, under Omar Yar'Adua, we were importing fuel. Our refineries were seldom working at full capacity. And yet every day that those administrations subsisted, Nigeria was on paper giving a discounted number of barrels for internal refinement. Almost 400 and something barrels, 1,000 barrels a day were being given supposedly to the refineries that were not working. And those barrels were given at ultra discounted prices. And they were just making their way into this thing. Somebody...
Into the what?
They were just into oblivion, somebody's bucket. So if you start such an investigation under Jonathan, inevitably it will hand over the baton to Umar Yar'Adua, who were the people in charge of it then. From Umar Yar'Adua, it will go to, you see, let him start with Jonathan's alt file. Jonathan's government alt file in front of him. If he wants to cut corners by not going to the previous ones, we will know, and some of us will shout. For me, Project Nigeria is bigger for me than Project APC that I support. So there is nobody that will want to cover corruption, be it even PMB that we are supporting today. The only reason why somebody like me is supporting Buhari now is that it is what he's doing is very uncharacteristic of the past leaders we've had. They've always stopped short as soon as they have come in, because, PMB too is doing it in a way, but we will know when eventually when the rubber hits the tar. He's trying now. I see somebody, and I'm sorry to say it, I see somebody who is trying well enough to ensconce the person of Jonathan from the prosecution of those who were corrupt under his administration. But at a point, some things will lead to him. And that clubby presidential this thing, that if you've been the president of Nigeria, because... you
have immunity.
That immunity,
all right.
That unspoken extra-constitutional immunity should also be pushed.
Okay, so lastly, are you not also worried that people have started going to meet with President Muhammadu Buhari? What they discussed with him, Nigerians do not know. Even members of the Peace Committee went to visit him. Of course, you know what came out of that. Eventually, Nigerians are saying that they went there to beg President Buhari on behalf of former President Jonathan, and then Bishop Kuka coming out to say it's not true. But
no,
of course, Nigerians
ultimately said they went at the BS of the
she faced governance
of Goodluck Jonathan. And to be honest with you,
he said they didn't go there to actually beg him.
No, they didn't, but they went at the BS. I came to this show this morning. I came for this interview at the BS of your producer. And I knew when I was leaving my house that I was coming to talk about some issues relating to Nigeria. So I'll be a pretender to be given the impression like I was taken from the street. I just got here and look, the truth is that some people have benefited from the perfidy for so long that even when there is a new sheriff in town who is committed to probity, to subjecting people to account, because they know the danger. You know that in criminal matters, there's no time bar. So they're thinking, if Jonathan gets hooked in Buhari's favor to bring his immediate...
You could link some other people and then connect to other people.
And you must remember that committee is also sometimes called the Abdul Salam Committee. I'm not mentioning
some are saying that, of course, that they're a friend of any government committee. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Agbola.
But having said that, Kuka's suggest I detested Father Kuka going with them and trying to the nationalization, but Kuka's suggestion too, some of the suggestions to Buhari is very important. As you are fighting corruption on the one hand, you must also... You cannot perpetually be driving forward looking at your rear view mirror. Corruption, the fight against corruption is a rear view mirror peep that you do when you are driving. But governance itself is about improving the quality of lives of the people, and you must also engage the best of Nigeria because we do have them to lead us in the direction of progress.
Thank you, Mr. Agbola, again, Public Affairs Analyst, for your analysis on the fight. I usually
like being called an entrepreneur. I don't heed that this Public Affairs Analyst.
All right, an entrepreneur.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yes, for your analysis of the fight against corruption by President Muhammadu Buhari's led administration. That's it on the Talk Time segment of the show. It's now time to join Moses Omogena for what's trending on the social media.